Hey diecast lovers, what is happening? Alright, today I'm going to have part 2 to show you of my Matchboxes from the 1980s. And at this moment, this will be pretty much all the ones I have from the 80s. This is still a work in progress. I'm kind of focused on some other things right now, so I'm not really actively looking for more of these right now. But these are the ones I have at the moment that I've added to the collection. You already no doubt saw part 1 with the other cars. Now today we're going to look at the rest of them that I've got from the 1980s. So let's dive in this. Okay, we're going to start with this beautiful white Mercedes-Benz 500 SEC with no less than an AMG package. Now, when this car first came out, even in its stock form, before AMG got a hold of it, it was an impressive machine, okay? This represented a whole different pinnacle of Mercedes-Benz, prestige, engineering, and luxury. And then the AMG people got a hold of it and they made it even better. Okay, so you took a car that was already an awesome performer, an awesome handler, and just tastefully elegant in every way, and then made it even that much better. Now, Matchbox made several versions of this AMG. Goodness, AMC. Listen to me. I'm having one of those crash and burn moments. Oops, I just said the big F. No, I'm kidding. That's never going to happen on this channel. But anyways. They made several different versions of this. You could get this in the white with a black interior, and that's one of the reasons I chose the white with the blue interior. I mean, look at the way that just pops. Isn't that nice? See, that's what I'm talking about. There was a red one with a black interior. There was a white one with a tan interior. There was a super fast version that had these wild looking star pattern wheels on it. There was one that had laser wheels. I mean, they had a lot of versions of this car. And this, by far, I think is the best because it's just tastefully understated, very nicely done. Like the blackout headlamps. It's actually part of the blacked out chassis, by the way, you should know. So these were powered by a very powerful 5-liter V8 from Mercedes-Benz. Very different from a Ford 5.0, trust me on that. And just an engineering and quality marvel. This is back when Mercedes-Benz and their quality really actually meant something. This was like, I consider the 80s and I guess even part of the 90s like the golden era of Mercedes-Benz quality and engineering. This is really, really good. So there you have it. And if they would have had this like in, I think it was around 84, 85 would have been the years they would have been making this one. So yeah, very nicely done and perfect for the 80s. All right, moving on. How many of you guys, especially you Gen Xers, how many of you remember that TV show called The Equalizer with Edward Woodward? Oh man, that's one of my favorite shows. I used to love that. It was just something about a distinguished gentleman wearing suits and with an English accent, driving around on a sharp-looking Jag, as they say, kicking butt with all the thugs in the scuzzy New York. Yeah, can't beat it. Boy, New York could really use an equalizer these days, right? So this here, now his version that he had in the show, when the show first started, he had it was an 86 model. So it was the older body style that actually had its roots all the way back in the 1970s. So for model year 1987, Jaguar finally redesigned the car, and then Matchbox did a version of that. So you can see they just changed some details. It's still every inch a Jaguar with that old English craftsmanship in there, and unfortunately some of that old English electrical quality, sadly. But I remember they had the standard XJ6 was nice enough, and then there was an even more luxurious Vanden Plaza edition. Edward Woodward always drove the regular version, but later in the show he got the new version. I think it was like the last 2 seasons he was driving around in the updated version in the same color. He had that really dark green, almost looked like it was black, but it was actually a very, very dark green. Matchbox chose this rich looking dark red, kind of like a ruby red, to feature theirs. Very nicely done. It's obviously a Euro model because of the right-hand drive. And this is back when Matchbox is still giving you some bang for your buck. You had a metal chassis, you had some opening features sometimes. Very nice details. These dot style wheels, as I call them, they were very popular. They used these on a lot of Matchbox cars back then. And they still had the nicely opening, closing doors. I do like how they did the touch of chrome with the grille. That was a nice touch right there. That was very sharp. You know, I don't think I've ever pointed this out to you guys. You ever notice how a lot of Matchboxes and also Tomicas, they had this little embossed rearview mirror in the glass? I always thought that was a nice touch. They had that as far back as the 70s, too. They were doing that. And, of course, this one has those, cast-in little side view mirrors. And that Mercedes also had those, too. All right. Now, I'm going to show you guys probably one of the most unique castings that Matchbox has ever done. You thought that Sable wagon was unique. Well, wait till you see this. So, remember I showed you the Dodge Daytona in the last video? And I said it came in a 2-pack with a Dodge Caravan. Well, this is the companion to the Daytona that was sold in that 2-pack. 1984 Dodge Caravan, the vehicle that revolutionized the American landscape and probably is also responsible for the death of the American station wagon, unfortunately. But this was once again Lee Iacocca taking the K-Car platform and is getting some serious mileage out of it, because these did use K-Car underpinnings, believe it or not, and they did stretch the wheelbase, beefed up the structure, and they built this nifty little minivan. They were powered by, I know the 2.2 liter was one of the engines, but I also heard there was a 2.5 liter, I believe it was a Mitsubishi engine that powered these too. And you were much better off if you had the 2.2 liter, even though it didn't have as much power, but it was the better built of the two. So yeah, the Dodge Caravan pretty much really wow, there's a lot of discoloration in the windows, but you have to remember this is over 40 years old, this casting, so that's probably to be expected some kind of defects. But anyways, Matchbox did a commendable effort with this. This has got a really unique feature. It's got a sliding side door. Now, how often do you see that on a die-cast car? The only other die-cast car I've seen that on was a very, very crappy Volkswagen van that Zylemex did back in the late 70s. And boy, was it a piece of garbage. Now, I had it as a kid, and I'll tell you what, I think it fell apart in about a month. But yeah, Matchbox's version much better. They really did authentic details right down to the little door handles, to the headlamps and the grill there. Got your cast-in mirrors. I like the fact that they did the interior in that nice burgundy color with the black and silver outside. That was really nice. And they made several versions of this too, but I think this is the best version. It just looks the most realistic. And I just can't get enough of that side sliding door. That's really cool. Yeah. At Chrysler Corporation, they really whoa, that was weird. My camera just froze for a brief period of time. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. All right, we're going to press on with no further dispatch. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, Chrysler, they really revolutionized the automotive landscape with their little Caravan. So nice job, Matchbox, in faithfully replicating that. Very nice. All right. Well, while we're talking about Dodges, let's talk about another way that Dodge revolutionized the industry back in the 80s with their all-new for 1987 Dodge Dakota. Okay, now what made the Dakota special? Well, it was truly a intermediate-sized pickup truck. You see, the trucks like the Ford Ranger, the GMC S15, the Chevy S10, and the Mazda B Series, those were all compact trucks, kind of on the small side. What this attempted to do was kind of bridge the gap between the full size and the compact. It was truly an intermediate sized truck. Now, initially when they brought this out, it was only offered with a V6, but eventually you could get at least a 5.2 liter, 318 cubic inch V8 in it. And just a very good effort by Matchbox. Check this out. So this would have been the up-level Dakota ST. Got your stripe package, got your little add-in roll bars with your, Baja lights, if you want to call it. When they first came out with these, they had just regular sealed beam headlamps, and then later on, as the years wore on, they started putting composite style lights in there. Like the way how they cast in the Dodge name on the tailgate into the tooling. That was a nice touch. And yeah, really nice effort. Now this one's got a plastic chassis just like the Caravan did. This is during that period of time when they were starting to ever so slowly cheap out on us. But they still did some nice touches. The cast-in mirrors, a little rear view mirror up there. Really nicely done. I like it. And, I don't remember there being other versions of this. I think this was the only version that they ever made. Oh, and by the way, it's got a nice little suspension on it. Not as much travel as Baja Bouncer I showed you last time, but it is there nonetheless. All right, now I'm going to show you a couple of special versions of the next two cars. So there was a regular version of this right here. This is a 1987 Ford Thunderbird Turbo Coupe. You may remember they had an all-new Thunderbird debut in '83 with this very new aerodynamic, very sleek shape that was such a radical departure from the boxy 1982 version that came before that. And it was a big seller too. Ford sold a lot of these Thunderbirds. So in 1987, they were going to come out with an all-new Thunderbird in 1989, and so it wasn't quite ready for production yet. So what they did was they did some alterations for 2 years in 87 and 88 to the Thunderbird, where it had the basic shape, but they made a lot of different changes to many details. You know, mostly the front and rear panels, the sail panel changed, hood. There's a couple things that changed. They changed a lot on it. And it ended up being, I think, personally, probably the most handsome T-Bird of the 80s. And this is called a world-class version, okay? Now, these world-class cars, they came a couple different ways. This is the best version because it's got the clear windows, and you can actually see the nice little two-tone interior in there. Isn't that sharp? It's even got a little red ball for the stick shift. That is so cool. You know, and then the world-class cars, everything was painted really nice. You got the emblems, the headlamps, turn signals. In the back, it's got jeweled tail lamps, but they actually added in the little backup lights. And they even saw fit to put a vanity plate on there. Too hot for you. Yeah, that's right. But when it first came out with the world-class version of this car, it had these mirrored windows. And even though there was still an interior in there, because I took one apart, I was curious. And actually, it turns out the interior is actually part of this right here, this divider that fits the two pieces together, the body and the chassis. But anyways, yeah, the mirrored ones, you couldn't see the interior at all. So Matchbox recognized that was stupid. And so they started, when they did later versions of the world-class cars, they began doing clear windows so you could actually see the interior. And that was a really nice touch. Yeah, the basic version with the dot wheels, and because this has rubber tires on it, you can see with the chrome wheels, Goodyear Eagle written on the side there. Really cool on the sidewall. But yeah, it was a similar shade of red, but it didn't have any of these nice little details added onto it. So this is, I think, the best version. I love it. And then the other one I'll show you, which will be our final 80s Matchbox for today, is we got a 1987 Corvette convertible. They did the same thing with this one too. Now, and because it's a convertible, you could see the interior regardless of the fact that it had mirrored glass. But like I said, Matchbox recognized that the mirrored glass was stupid and a waste of time, and that's why they went back to clear windows on the later versions. This is one of the nicest versions of this Corvette I've ever seen. I love the bright yellow color. Nice little interior. See, once again, you got that little red head for the shifter. That's kind of cool. Red tail lamps, nice job. Vanity plate, 87 Vet. I think 86 was the first year of the Corvette convertible in the new C4 body style. Because remember, this debuted in the middle of 1983 as an 84 model. So this was still fairly new by 1986, 1987. But yeah, this is a great effort by Matchbox. I mean, they just did all the details, got painted. You know, the little Corvette emblem there. Excuse me. Got another one here. All the lamps. And also the little USA 1 Chevrolet on the front there. The little gills on the side. Yeah. And this is another one that's constructed very similar to the T-Bird. So you got a upper and lower piece. And then this divider is actually part of the interior. That's how they did it. But yeah, what a great looking model that Matchbox did. And this one's actually a weird chassis setup. It's a combination metal and plastic. But yeah, you could slowly see how they were starting to do cost cutting and some, decontenting and all that kind of nonsense. So yeah. So there you have it. Diecast fans, that's the second and for now the last video for 1980s Matchboxes. As I said, I'm going to be accumulating more. Just it's going to take me some time to do it. Not all of them are hard to find. Some of them are actually pretty easy to find. You can find them for good prices. But, like I said, I'm in the process of doing other things right now. So, yeah, I've really kind of scaled back on my diecast car purchases. So, in the meantime, guys, I want you to take care of each other. God bless. And we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.